So I just got back home from a wedding for a friend of mine where I used the XH2s for the first time. And honestly, I have a lot of thoughts. So let's talk about the pros and also the cons that I felt like I had the first time using this camera. Also, shout out to this video sponsor, KEH Camera. We'll talk about them more later. Starting out with the pros, overall, this was an amazing camera. I had a great experience using it. The camera feels great in the hands and it's super easy to use. Also, since I wasn't using it with a battery grip, it was much lighter than my XT3 setup with the battery grip on it. Honestly, I could see myself using this camera because during the day, nothing felt too different about it. It felt like a standard Fujifilm camera, which is really good for a working professional like myself because I don't want to upgrade to a camera and have it be a totally different feel than what I'm used to. On that same note, the menus are basically the same. However, photo and video are kind of separate and you can get to those settings extremely easy, which is very nice. Because of being able to set up everything beforehand as well, being able to hybrid shoot is much more doable now. With the record button up on the front close to the shutter button, and the fact that while I'm in photos, I can hit record and it's gonna know the settings I already set it for video and just start recording clips, hands down was one of the best features of being able to get short clips while also doing photo. You can see here I took a 4K 60 clip during the ceremony, and keep in mind when you're taking stills you don't need photos every single second, so taking a couple shots and then also taking a short video is very doable. The camera has so many more buttons than I'm used to, and that actually adds up to the functionality of the whole camera. With all the extra buttons that this camera has, getting to like continuous autofocus versus single point or zone to single point or anything of that sort was super easy to do and super quick. I was actually kind of surprised at how much I loved all the buttons because if you saw me talk about something like the GFX, one of my biggest issues is the fact that it doesn't have the D-pad anymore. But you take a look at the XH2s and not only does it have the D-pad, the joystick, but it also has a dedicated white balance button and ISO button, and there's like 2 buttons on the front of the camera. There's just so many buttons. Now, one of the biggest things that surprised me is I actually only used 2 batteries for the whole wedding day. And I knew the XT4 batteries were good, but I didn't know they were that good. And this was like a full 8-hour day. Now, to give you some context and a disclaimer, I do have a habit of turning off my cameras when I'm not using them often, but other than that, I don't have the settings to automatically turn off the camera. So a full wedding day taking a couple of video clips and photos on the XH2s, and I only used 2 batteries. That is actually really good. And then probably one of my last pros is just the camera is fast. The shutter is quiet. The autofocus is absolutely amazing. And it's just really good. Everyone was so surprised at how quiet the camera actually was. So overall, I would say that I had a great experience using the XH2s. Like really, it surprised me. And now I'm debating if I should get the XH2 or the XH2s, which again, let me know in the comments below which one you all are going with. And since we're talking about upgrading the cameras as well, don't forget the best way to upgrade is by selling old gear, and you can do that with this video sponsor, KH Camera. If you're wondering where you can sell your gear and you don't feel like dealing with shady Facebook groups or anything like that, you might want to look into KH Camera. KH Camera is one of the best places to buy gear online and sell your old gear as well. They have a large collection of cameras from newer digital cameras to film cameras. So basically there's anything for everyone on there. They spend a lot of time with their used cameras to make sure that they're in amazing quality. And so when you're buying something from KEH, you know you're getting great quality used gear. And again, don't give yourself a headache trying to sell your gear. Go to KEH Camera and make it a smooth experience. I sold my 56 f1.2 to them a while ago and it was a great experience. Hopped online, talked to one of their specialists, they looked at my gear, I sent it to them and they basically sent me money in PayPal. I highly recommend using KEH Camera to sell your gear so that you can upgrade to something newer. So again, if you're looking at the XH2 or the XH2s, you might want to check out KEH Camera to sell your old and current gear. Make sure to check out the link in the description below for a 5% bonus off of your sell or buying gear. Now that we've talked about the pros of the camera, let's talk about some of the cons. Now, disclaimer here, honestly, there's not too many cons. However, there were a lot of little things that stuck out to me as far as usability on a wedding day that just got under my skin, basically. Now, I'm hoping all of these things they'll be able to fix over software, but we will see. Starting out with the buttons. Now, I know I was talking about how awesome all the buttons are, but honestly, some of the button configurations either didn't work the way I wanted them to, or there's something I couldn't set up. So, starting out with the joystick, which was probably one of the biggest ones for me personally, in the way I used the camera. With the joystick, you're able to switch it to when you press it, it either zooms in or it makes you able to change the size of your focusing square. But on the XT3 and 4, when you press it, not only does it let you change the size of the square, but it also centers it as well. Now, what I noticed is that on the XH2s, I'm not able to change the size of the square and also center the square. And since I use single point autofocus, for me, that's like a big issue. Because a lot of times what I'll do in camera is I'll use the joystick to move my focus point manually. I don't like to use continuous autofocus. And I know a lot of y'all are like, why not? What are you doing? But single autofocus is the best. So I manually move my square, but then if I need to go back to the center quickly, being able to press it and just have it go back is hands down one of the best features. So the fact that I could not change the size of the square and center it at the same time with the XH2s was super annoying for me. Again, it's something I could get over and get used to, but it just felt like, why are we taking away functionality that we had in older cameras? Speaking of functionality from older cameras as well, since there's a dedicated ISO button, the only way to change your ISO now is through the button and or through only one of the dials. So when I'm shooting in manual, usually what I'll do is use the front and back dial for ISO and shutter speed. But for some reason now, you can only do either or on one of the dials. So when I'm using shutter speed on my back dial, the front dial actually does nothing at all. And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And having a dedicated ISO button is nice, but when it comes to something like wedding photography, where maybe I was outdoors and then indoors is way darker, so my settings are totally different, and I happen to walk indoors and something happens, like grandma gets up and someone goes to hug her real quick, just very candid, being able to just use the front and back dial to switch my settings extremely fast is like totally needed. But now in the XH2s, I basically have to be like, shutter, 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 ISO button, change that too. And it just adds an extra step. I would love to be able to use both dials and also the button as well. But again, these are all little things that just kind of messed up my normal workflow. Also, the record button is super awesome, but again, with that line of buttons with the record, white balance, and ISO, and then the shutter at the very front, I find myself clicking on the record button by accident a fair amount actually. So I would go to like maybe try to press white balance or ISO, and what I would do by accident is hit the record. Or I'll be trying to press the shutter and then just move my finger the weird way and hit record. So it's nice being there because it's super functional, but that's also something else I would want to get used to. And again, the main reason that was happening to me is because of the ISO button. If I could have that on a dial, that wouldn't be an issue at all. And obviously, y'all already know I don't like the flippy screen, but at this point, I'm guessing I'm just gonna have to get used to it, because I bet you money going forward, they're probably not gonna do a tilt screen anymore, which I'm super sad about. But the tilt screen is so much better for stills. I don't, but I guess the XH2s and XH2 are more of hybrid cameras, even though they're still kind of for stills. We'll see what happens. Let me know in the comments below what you think will happen with the tilt screen. Is it done? Is it only flippy screen? Let me know. But yeah, those were a lot of my biggest gripes. Like, the button setup and everything is actually really nice, but it was just like so many little button things where it's like, why didn't it do this? Or why can't it do what it used to do? Other than that though, the camera was absolutely amazing. And if you would like to see how I actually set up my XH2s and all the settings I used for wedding photography, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure to make that video for y'all while I still have this camera. So I've really been thinking about upgrading to the XH2s or maybe the XH2. I haven't had a chance to use the 2 yet, but I'm really curious about that 40 megapixels. At this point in time, I'm really just thinking about riding out my XT3s. It really depends on the photo quality for me, because that's what matters most, but also getting that 4K 120, which I forgot to record at this wedding because I set it to 1080 by accident. But having that option, or on the 2 having the 8K, for me as a YouTuber, that would actually be super useful. So I might just upgrade my whole setup and do 2 XH2s for my mains, or actually just XH2s across the board. See, I'm not sure. I don't know what I want to do. But the camera was great overall. I hope to use it at more weddings. And if y'all want to see more content on these new cameras and some comparisons, make sure to subscribe and let me know what you want to see in the comments below. And I will catch you all next time.